Has Hyundai finally made a proper competitor to the Tesla Model 3? That's what we're gonna find out today. Let's roll! The model that we have for today's video is the long-range all-wheel drive, and special thanks for this one goes to our great friends at Rome. What is Rome? Well, if you're still waiting for your car to arrive and you need a vehicle right away, Rome has you covered. We'll take care of your insurance. Basically, you just pay a monthly subscription and you can drive it for as long as you want till your new car arrives. Or if you just don't want to own a car at all, you just want to lease and change different cars all the time, well, Rome has you covered. The Model 3 has been in the market for a while now, so design, well, it needs a refresh at this point. But let's talk about the design itself. It's very simple. In the front, rear end, you got your headlights, you got the badge, nothing too crazy going on here, the standard EV. Then move on to the side over here, we have the Ioniq6, which, as you can see, there's a lot going on here, like the tail lights, they're like boxes around it. It looks like Tetris, reminds me of the game Tetris. And then the top side over here, we have the brake light, and there's the glass over here that I don't get it why is there, because the light is just onto the side. The same thing with the lights underneath there where the bumper is. Like, the whole thing is just a bit much in my opinion. Then you move on to the side profile. Over here, this thing, someone said to me the other day, it looks like a cheaper version of the Taycan. I think it kind of looks like a banana. Now let's move on to the front side, because even here, well, it's unique in its own way. I still don't know how I feel about this car, whether I like it, hate it, or love it, but it's very, very different, I must say. Someone said that it actually looks like the Beetle. Maybe? The door handles on the side on this thing are similar to what the Tesla Model 3 has had for a while. So let's just say that Tesla is the pioneer of this style where they just pop out like that. Let's talk about practicality. Thankfully, the Ioniq6 does have a, let's just say, a frunk, but if you come close here, it's not really a frunk. It's a small thing that you could probably put your phone in there, and that's it. That's the amount of space you get in this thing. But let me show you the Tesla. To get into the frunk of the Tesla, first of all, you gotta get in, go into the screen over here, and then press open, because this is a centralized system, so everything is into that massive screen. And then look at that. Now, that's a proper frunk. It does give you a bit more space than what you get in the Ioniq6. I like this. Let's talk about space on the interior, and let's start first with the Tesla. Second row. The seat in the front is set as if I'm the driver, so that way you get a better idea of how much space you get in this thing here. First of all, leg room, as you can see, not bad. I like it. We got two USB-C ports in here, but it actually feels spacious. Headroom, tons of headroom, because this has the glass at the top. It has a panoramic roof all the way across. This is kind of like the first EV that had a full glass all the way through, and then everybody else copied Tesla. You can fold the seats in the second row if you want to use the space in here, and of course the trunk. I like this. Now let's jump into the Ioniq6. Nope, it doesn't help. Okay, maybe if I stay like, nope, hold on. Nope. Tom, you said that I lied, right? You think I'm lying? Do you think I'm lying? I can't find the perfect position. So let me put it this way. There's no headroom for me in here, and I wouldn't enjoy being a actual passenger in the back. Leg room, tons of leg room. They thought that maybe people have a longer legs. We got two USB-C ports here. And then there's air vents, so like similar to the Tesla, it's flat all the way through. You can fold the seats in here. This has heated seats in the back, which is something that I didn't see in the Tesla. That's very positive thing about the Ioniq 6. Now I just got to figure out a way to get out, and I am out. Okay, into the Ioniq. First of all, space-wise, well, I have had room here, otherwise I wouldn't be able to drive this thing. Someone else would drive it for me. But in this case, I do. Start it up with the button over here. It's a very different Hyundai, I have to say. Minus, of course, the user interface, which is similar to pretty much every Kia and Hyundai out there. I don't know how I feel about this design overall. I'll tell you why. First of all, the control unit for the windows and the door, it's located now in the center. They had to move it because they wanted it to be different. The interior color of this car, it reminds me of the 80s and 90s. That kind of feeling. I don't know how I feel about it. Good or bad, I don't understand. Like, for example, the wireless charging pad has a very unique design with the lights in here, then the USB ports, the center console over this side, like the color, the quality, everything. It kind of feels like a kitchen as well at the same time. The steering wheel as well, you got the lights over here, which is nice. And they have a different, let's say, pattern every time when you turn it on, when you turn it off. And then the shift knob is located onto the side over here, which is something that it's the same as the Ioniq 5. The design is different from the Ioniq 5, I have to say, like the overall design, even the shape of the dashboard. I'm not 100% how I feel about this design, but you got the screens in here. This is very decentralized, meaning that everything you need, it's either a button or a touch screen, and it's not in one place. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I don't hate it. I haven't gotten used to it yet. I just think it's just a bit much for my taste. I'm not the biggest fan. Now let's jump into the Tesla. Okay, into the Tesla Model 3. First of all, this is nothing like any other cars that you have been into or you have driven, because this is very centralized. You have the massive screen in the center that has pretty much every feature that you need. And with a Tesla, you need to have this thing over here. You can still get a remote control, I believe, but we have a card. You take the card and you tap, and that's it. And you can also use it through the phone, which is something that even the Ioniq 6 offers. You can control a lot of things through there, but you can do this in much easier way. But that's one of those, like the card. Even to lock the car, you tap on the outside and you lock it. The massive screen in the center, I believe this is 14-inch, has everything you need in there, from how to open the front, how to open the trunk, to check your map, and every detail is right in here. Even the gear knob is located behind the steering wheel. Then you have two switches on the side here. There's like two buttons which have many functions, from fixing your mirrors to the steering column, so many. Even the dashboard is designed differently. It's flat all the way through. And then you get into more details. At the top, you have the hazard lights, because it's not in here. But it's probably a safety thing, that's why they put it at the top. And you have two little lights in there for the interior. The seats do have switches, which again, that helps, because I need fast access. There's a wireless charging pad, I believe, in here, two cup holders, there's some space into this area, then there's an armrest in here with some space. But the disappointing part about this Tesla is that you don't get any USB ports with this, because they believe that everything you need is right in there, so you shouldn't be touching your phone as much. It is kind of like an Apple tablet in many ways. Even the user interface, to me, feels like an Apple product, because I have an Apple product. Actually, all my products are Apple, from my MacBook and so on. This feels very familiar to that. It is easy to use after a few times, but at first, if this is your first time getting in, this is not something that you see in every car. It's totally different. Now, one of the things that people complain about Tesla is the build quality, and I have to agree at some extent, because even the door panels don't feel like built tough in comparison to the Ioniq 6. But that's not to say that the Ioniq 6 is built perfectly. It has its own flaws. Even the interior doesn't feel like very good quality overall. They actually feel pretty much the same in some ways. The door panels, the gaps and all that, everything looks pretty much the same. Now, one thing I want to talk about is, of course, the charging. Let's just say I want to go to Philadelphia. I have family there and I want to go and visit them. So let's do that. There you go. I actually tried it before. And we're starting with the Ioniq 6 first to see what it's going to give me. here we go. Fastest route is 7 hours and 53 minutes, including charging stations. So in this case, we have charging stations pretty much past the border is the first one. And then there's another one. So it shows you the charging station. So when you look at that, you're saying to yourself, oh, that's pretty easy. That's not too long for 728 kilometers. That's true, but here's the problem. First of all, these chargers that you see over here, it doesn't even tell you which one it is or which company it is and what do you need to charge the car. So you don't know whether it is a charger from Canada, you don't know if you actually have the app, and you don't know how much it's actually going to cost you. It just tells you that there is a charger there, but it doesn't give you any details. And it also doesn't say anything about how fast the charger is. It just says that there is a charger in there. Like I click on it, it doesn't say anything. I can click on this one over here, that's it. It just says right in there, available. There is one available for sure. It says Perry charging. So when you get there, you don't know which app you need to download. So you have to look separately to figure that out. It's a lot more complicated than that. And I am 100% sure that that is not the correct time, because if you think about it, with an ICE car, meaning internal combustion engine, I have done Philadelphia in about 7.5 hours. That's with, let's say, 5 minutes of stopping for gas and then just go back on the road. That to me doesn't make any sense, because there's no way that you can make that from Toronto there. And the other problem you're going to have is that right now it says available, but by the time you get there, as we know, if you actually have been into an electric vehicle, well, they don't work all the time. There is problems many times. I've noticed that myself. So now you're in the US, so this is a different charging company. So you have to download an app, you have to load the payment, totally separate from the car company, which I think is one of the biggest, well, let's just say disappointing things and the negative things about the Ioniq6 is that this, for me, is a huge problem, especially for people that travel quite a lot. Now you might say, well, Sam, I don't travel every day to Philadelphia. That's true, but that just shows you one of the flaws with the current EV charging. With the Tesla, for example, right here is telling us, so the next stop I need to do, the first stop technically, I arrive there at 6:24 and I arrive with 32%. It will take me 25 minutes to charge. And then the next stop, it's at 10:33 p.m. That's another supercharger, 20 minutes of stopping there. And then the next one is 1:57 a.m. and then about 10 minutes. And then it says you arrive in Philadelphia at 2:10 a.m., which is roughly about 8 hours. But it's telling me exactly where I need to stop, how long I'm gonna stop, and where to charge, and then it says it's a supercharger. You get all the details in here. What that means is that you're going to have a nicer experience getting from Toronto to Philadelphia with this vehicle. And this is the biggest win, I think, in my opinion, for Tesla, because this experience, well, this is worth every penny for the car. Okay, let's talk about how these two drive. But before we get to that, let's talk about the range. Tesla on their website says that the Model 3 all-wheel drive long range will get you about 534 kilometers or 352 miles on a full charge. It all depends on how you drive, depends on temperature as well, because as you know, batteries during cold temps, well, are not the best. The Ioniq 6, on the other hand, the all-wheel drive offers about 434 kilometers with a 20-inch, and then the lower wheels, you're going up to 453. So it all depends on the setup that you have. And that's very important. That will be about 270 miles, 280 miles, which is still very impressive, taking consideration that it actually has a smaller battery at about 77 kilowatts an hour, comparison to the Tesla Model 3 at 82 kilowatts an hour, which has a larger battery. The next thing I want to talk about is the price, and that's an important topic. First of all, you can pick base models, but let's just say the fully loaded long-range all-wheel drive for the Tesla without the autopilot, you're looking about $65,000. Meanwhile, the Ioniq 6 about 64,000 Canadian, which would be about $52,000 to $53,000 US for both models. So they're within that range. They compete with each other very well. Now the Tesla Model 3, if you go to their website, you get all these different add-ons for, autopilot, city driving navigation, and so on. You can also buy boost performance, which gives you faster performance but drops the range. The Ioniq 6, you only pick the standards. You can get a non-all-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive that we have. So that's the price. And on Tesla's website for Canada, apparently with the long-range all-wheel drive, you qualify for the $5,000 rebate, which I'm assuming will be the same for the thing for the Ioniq 6. So you're going down $5,000. Now, let's stay on the price and how you set up each car before you buy them and how you load them with all the tech features. The first thing you need to know is that Tesla doesn't have dealerships. If you have lived under a rock and you don't know about it, well, let me tell you, they don't own dealerships. They own boutiques. You go and visit them. There's like a couple in Toronto that you can go and see the cars, but they're not technically dealerships. Tesla was technically the first company to fully sell cars online, like all their lineup completely online. They managed to get around the laws for states and provinces that you don't actually need a dealership, and they started that way. So for Tesla, you go on their website, you pick your color, you pick your wheel after the trim, and of course the model that you want, and then you pick all the add-ons that they offer, and then he tells you the estimate delivery. So you don't have to deal with any salesperson, you don't have to deal with all the BS that they do all the time. They have, different salespeople. Some people are not well educated about the car. I've been through that. There are great dealerships, but it's a lot of hassle for the buyer to go through a dealership, in my opinion, because they're not the same. And here's the perfect example. I called 4 Hyundai dealerships, and they all said a different estimate for delivery or availability. Some were like, I'm sorry, we're booked, we can't sell you anymore. Another one said, we'll put a deposit down and hope for the best. That's literally. And another one said, we'll get you one in 6 months. So it's really difficult to get a proper response when you work with dealers. Some dealers are amazing, but they're usually the ones that sell high luxury vehicles. But then if you deal with the base ones, it's really pain. You don't have to deal with that Tesla. You go online, it will tell you exactly, you put your deposit and you keep track of your order and done, and then deliver to your house, right? That's the best thing. Now, if you have a problem with the car, you have to go back online so that you can get your information or do your complaint and so on. And then they have their own service centers you can bring it to, but they're not across the world too. That's another problem. But with EVs, generally speaking, maintenance is not the same level as an ICE car. Now, how do they drive both models? Here's what I can tell you. In my books, I think the Tesla drives better. Here's why. The power delivery is so much better. Getting around with that thing, going quickly, it's really impressive. The suspension setup, it's slightly softer in the Ioniq 6, and you don't feel the road as much. In the Tesla, it's not at the same level, but it's not unbearable. The interior in the Tesla is so minimalistic that you don't actually have to worry too much about buttons or cleaning too many things. You clean the dashboard and then you clean the screen and you're done. Here, there's a lot of things going on. Now, I personally prefer buttons because it's easy, but that's because I'm not used to having just a massive screen in the center. I'm always around cars that have buttons, so I haven't changed my habit, and that's probably something you can use yourself. I think the Tesla drives better than this. I know some people are not going to like the fact that, well, Teslas are not known to be very good cars because of their, quality build, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. My opinion is I've been driving both of them. I like the Tesla the way it drives. And I'm also sitting so much high here with this car that I don't enjoy at all. In the Tesla, I sit much lower in comparison to this. People bring up the range all the time. There's not enough range. Your concern shouldn't be the range. Your concern should be the fact that you don't get chargers. And this is where I think Hyundai and many brands have failed. Why not get in touch with all these providers of EV charging stations, then create a sort of system embedded into the car like Tesla has it? You don't have to create your own superchargers. You can just do exactly that and basically offer your customers a way of charging the car without having to worry about downloading all these apps. Because you can, of course, download apps and find the nearest chargers and so on, and this one shows that too. But that can make the life easy for customers, and automakers still don't understand this problem. They just think, we want to make a car and just give it to you. And I complain about all of them. Tesla, on the other hand, has figured out a way to make customers' life easy. And they're dropping prices, which means probably the next 6 months they're going to drop them even more because their profit margin is so large that they can do that. The next thing I want to find out is, how fast is this thing in comparison to the Tesla? We know Teslas are fast, but how fast is this? And that's what we're going to do next. Let's roll. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to race the Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive to the Ioniq6 all-wheel drive. This is the preferred package, which is fully loaded. So let's talk about some of the specs, horsepower, and what motors we have in here. Let's start first with the preferred Ioniq6 all-wheel drive. It makes 320 brake horsepower, uses a dual electric transmission, single speed reduction gear automatic. The long range battery pack is 77.4 kilowatts an hour, and with a torque of 446 pound-feet of torque. This has a base curb weight of 4,616 pounds, and it is, of course, all-wheel drive. Now, on the other side, we got the Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive. It makes 346 brake horsepower and 389 pound-feet of torque. It has a all-wheel drive drivetrain, of course, dual motor, and this one, it has a permanent magnet motor type. The battery size is 82 kilowatts an hour, which is bigger than what the Ioniq6 has. Now, the curb weight that I could find online for the long-range all-wheel drive, and finding specs for Tesla is pretty hard, but this one was rated about 4,472 pounds, which is technically lighter than the Ioniq6. But if you look at them side by side, you will notice that the Tesla Model 3 is actually smaller overall, the body shape. So at this point, we're gonna do first from a dig. We're gonna test them out on a quarter mile just to see how these two compare. So with that in mind, I think we'll start the dig race. Okay guys, I am ready on this side. Tom, I'm gonna put mine in. Did you have to do that? Of course you had to do that. I'm gonna put mine in sport mode. And apparently if I turn off traction, I should get a bit more juice out of this completely. Traction is off. What mode are you in, mister?
This car has no acceleration mode, which is either chill or standard. I'm in standard mode, and I only have an option for my steering wheel, which is comfort, standard, or sport. Nothing else.
Well, I am ready on this side. When the hands are down, we should be able to go. And make sure you're not in reverse, but in drive, okay? Okay, Jesus, that Tesla we launched at the same time, but he's gone. He's absolutely gone. What is that, 2 cars, 3 cars? Wow. Okay, man, I think I lost sight of you completely. Did you go somewhere? I think I lost sight of you. Did you go somewhere?
I think I'm in Toronto right now. I think, yeah. Somewhere
My goodness, like, you know, we launched at the same time, but just like the way that thing went, crazy. I dropped about 3 kilometers of range. How much did you drop?
I don't have range, but I can tell you that I dropped by 1% in terms of my battery.
My battery dropped, actually, sorry, not kilometers. This, not the range kilometers. The percentage, it went down to 68. That's a bit much. Do you want to do it one more time?
It went from 76 to 75%.
Okay, that's fine. Let's do this one more time, just for the fun of it, and then the last one we're gonna do is a roll race. Like, I take off really quickly, and I have 100% torque, it says in here, pedal to the metal, and he is absolutely gone. Like, that's 6 cars. And then we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. So easy to get these things to up to speed. Oh my God, there's no hope. There is zero hope. There is zero hope. Yeah, that's about it. Well, that just tells us everything we need to know, and that's, of course, the Tesla is a lot faster than this thing over here. It's just crazy. Like, I'm not a car behind you. I am 6 cars behind you.
I couldn't even see it behind me, to be honest, in my mirrors. But yeah, of course, Tesla, you know, they are superior in terms of their performance than any other EVs out there in the market.
I can tell you're bragging a lot about it, so I'm assuming the Tesla wins this entire video.
Yeah, Tesla wins. But me bragging? We can talk again about that part.
Thanks, buddy. That was interesting. Well, that just tells you everything you need to know. Now, some of you will say, well, Sam, it's not about speed. It's not, it's true, but that just shows you superiority in terms of drivetrain battery performance. It has a bigger battery, slightly bigger battery. It's also a little bit lighter, but that one with the performance boost that you can purchase, you can get it down to 3.8 a second, which is crazy. Or you can even get the performance, which I'm assuming the Ioniq6 is going to come as an Ioniq6N, and that could be even faster. But I'd say Tesla takes this.